You're sweating, pumping iron, and staring at the mirror doing exactly what some fitness magazine told you to do a decade ago. Yet absolutely nothing changes. The skin still hangs there. Why? Because you're completely ignoring the actual structural problem holding your body together. I was looking into this fascia protocol recently, and it aggressively tears apart everything we think we know about how muscle actually stays tight against the bone. Your standard gym routine is probably a total waste of time if you're trying to fix flabby arms.
Think about endless bicep curls for a second. They're completely trapped in two dimensions. You move a weight strictly up and down. That isolates one single primary mover and acts like the entire rest of your arm doesn't even exist. Sure, you get a temporary pump, but the real issue happening right beneath the surface is atrophy. We're entirely neglecting the exact tissues responsible for keeping the whole arm tight, resilient, and structurally sound long after you leave the gym.
Fascia, that's what we're looking at here. It's essentially a biological wetsuit. Think of it exactly like Saran wrap tightly wound around your muscles, nerves, and organs. This specific tissue layer dictates the actual shape of your arm. If that wrapper is loose, the whole arm is loose. It doesn't matter how much dense muscle you pack underneath it. Fascia absorbs physical forces. It shrink wraps everything tight against the bone. But that only happens if you train it right.
You have to stimulate that fascia to force collagen synthesis. That's how you fix a loose wrapper. When you apply the right kind of static tension, you trigger a massive rebuilding effect. The collagen layer physically thickens. It literally pulls and tightens the arm's shape inward, directly from the outside. You're rebuilding the integrity of the wrapper itself, not just blindly pumping up the meat inside. You're literally changing the actual container holding it all together.
Throw out standard concentric lifting right now. Just lifting a weight to shorten a muscle completely ignores those support tissues. Honestly, it's why you can bench press a ton of weight and still feel totally unstable. What you actually need to force that structural change are isometric and eccentric movements. I'm talking about brutal static tension, incredibly slow lengthening. This method punishes the muscles and deeply thickens the fascia, but it happens to be highly safe for your joints since you aren't violently throwing heavy weights around.
Matt Schifferly outlines a concept he calls the PTR principle: position, tension, resistance. You don't just grab a band and start yanking it. Get your body completely aligned first. Tuck the elbows in tight, set your hands perfectly. Then proactively engage the muscle. You tense up before the weight even moves a single inch. Only after those two steps do you actually apply resistance. Doing it in that specific order stops your secondary muscles from just randomly bailing out when things get hard.
You are only as strong as you are stable. If you fight a wobbly surface or have terrible foot placement, you bleed power trying to balance. That energy is supposed to go directly into tearing down the target muscle. It's really that simple. Stable platforms are completely non-negotiable for maximum force output. Lock your feet down. Create an immovable foundation. Give the muscle absolutely nowhere to hide from the tension.
The squeezing plank. You get down on the floor, set yourself up, and within seconds, your core and arms will start shaking violently. It is a crazy, visceral reaction. Your body suddenly thinks it's lifting a truck, but you aren't moving a single inch off the mat. It completely rewires how you think about bodyweight exercises.
Drop into a hollow body plank. That standard hold is your yielding isometric. Now we add the specific mechanic that changes everything. Actively squeeze the floor. Try to physically drag your hands and feet toward each other, but don't let them actually slide across the mat. That's overcoming isometric tension. You force an unbelievable amount of maximum tension into the entire front of your body without moving. The whole anterior chain lights up like a Christmas tree.
Flip over. The squeezing table bridge. Exact same overcoming tension concept applied directly to the back of your body. Both halves of that biological wetsuit need the exact same intense collagen-building trigger. Pack your shoulders firmly down and back, then lift up into a standard table bridge position. Now, aggressively squeeze the floor between your feet and hands, just like you did in the plank. Listen, I'm warning you right now, this specific movement forces your hamstrings and glutes into absolute overdrive. If you apply maximum force your very first time trying this, your hamstrings will violently cramp. Seriously, dial it back to maybe 50% effort on your first attempt just to feel the mechanic working.
You don't even need a heavy, expensive cable machine to isolate the triceps and target the back of the arms. Simple, cheap bands lying around the house or at the corner of your gym are perfectly fine. The magic isn't in the equipment. It's entirely in how long you can actually sustain the hold.
Grab the band, loop it behind your neck, bend over, and extend your arms straight back.
Or anchor it over a sturdy door and pull it down exactly halfway. The catch? You absolutely have to hold that static position for 20 solid seconds. Freeze, right there. That sustained static tension deeply exhausts the secondary muscles supporting the joint. If holding for 20 seconds outright fails, drop to 3 separate sets of 10 seconds. Just do not skip the hold.
We completely abandon the lifting phase for the other side of the arm. Forget getting the weight up. We only care about the brutal downward release in the eccentric bicep drop. This flips traditional training upside down. We're realizing the muscle damage needed to tighten the fascia actually happens when the muscle is slowly being pulled apart, not squeezed together.
Take a dumbbell or a barbell. Cheat the weight up however you want. Use momentum, have a friend lift it, it really doesn't matter. Now release it downward as slowly as physically possible. Make it excruciatingly slow. You lengthen the bicep under maximum tension while it fights gravity the entire way down. I promise you, doing just 5 simple repetitions like this will leave you insanely sore the next day. 5 reps is literally all it takes to trigger the adaptation.
To push this concept to the absolute limit, get on some suspension equipment, a TRX setup, or a pair of gymnastic rings. This environment is the ultimate support muscle builder. It forces your entire body to instantly adapt to an incredibly unstable, freely moving environment.
Hold a static push-up position on those rings. You aren't just fighting gravity pushing your body weight down, you're fighting severe lateral sway. Your arms desperately want to shake outward, forward, and backward uncontrollably. Every single secondary muscle in that entire layer of fascia has to fire simultaneously just to keep your face from hitting the floor. Walk your feet slightly forward or backward to change your body angle, and you quickly adjust the difficulty.
Here's the weirdest part of all this. The goal is to contract the muscles, yes, but you have to give yourself permission to only apply 75 to 80% effort. Pushing with absolute maximum vein-popping force against the handles completely ruins your technique. Your body panics, it loses stability, it recruits totally wrong muscles just to cheat the movement. Deep internal contraction at 80% effort is the true target. Stop trying to rip the equipment apart.
Drop the weights, get on the floor, and go do a squeezing plank right now.